Research shows that about 25 million Americans have a fear of flying.
Recent incidents like the crash landing of a Delta flight from Minneapolis to Toronto and this near miss of a Southwest plane with a private jet in Chicago aren't helping travelers feel safe. So how can you manage those feelings? WCCO's Jonah Kaplan takes us to the airport where a class is helping to keep those flying fears at bay.
You hear stats that almost a quarter of people are afraid of flying, but nobody talks about it on the plane, so you feel like you're totally alone in that situation, gripping the seats.
Beth Marr was a longtime air traveler who took a 10-year hiatus after an experience on her honeymoon.
It felt like we dropped out of the air, and I felt like my heart stopped.
Like on a roller coaster?
On a roller coaster, but not in a fun way. I think it was fear of the turbulence, immediately followed by fear of my own mortality, that I was pretty sure we were going to crash. And we didn't. And so it worked out, but that was my experience that I remembered and stored very deeply.
What helped bury that fear, or at least give it some cover, was therapy and a visit to this classroom in an unmarked area of MSP International Airport's Terminal C.
To get in an actual room where other people could express their irrational thoughts, their fears, their experiences that had caused them to stop flying or be fearful of flying was really helpful.
That class, by the way, was on its own hiatus since the COVID-19 pandemic. The in-person workshop returned only last month and sold out within days. And organizers said current events had everything to do with it. The teachers, Jenny Matthews, a licensed therapist, and her husband, Justin, a former Air Force flight engineer.
Well, I think one of the big misconceptions is that there's a fear of flying. There's actually fears of flying. A really big one's like fear of being in an enclosed space for a long time, feeling trapped. If I feel trapped, I'm not going to be able to get out. How am I going to get help? There's all these what ifs that come in that can range all over the place.
We can say what if, but really when there's going to be another crash, when there's going to be another near miss, how can people manage that anxiety to make sure they're not triggered again?
Boundaries with consuming like the media around recent incidents can really affect somebody because it makes it feel like, right, oh, it's confirming my fear and now it's all I hear about. That's what people are telling us all the time right now. Like it's now more unsafe because you just constantly hear about it. And that's not really changing the fact that flying is still safe.
And that is indeed the truth. The upside down plane, the collision, the near miss, even the medical plane crash in Philadelphia, they are by far the exception and not the rule. According to the FAA, consider there were 6 flights in the last 10 years coming to and from MSP International that could be classified as, quote, near collisions. Only 1 was described as critical. Also in those 10 years, federal investigators recording 7 mid-flight equipment issues. 2 of those were bird strikes. The others included 1 broken nose gear and another, a window crack in front of the first officer's seat. No one was hurt. And in that same decade, by the way, there were roughly 4 million takeoffs and landings. So 13 out of 4 million, or 4 1,000ths of 1%. Jonah Kaplan, WCCO News.
Jenny and Justin Matthews will host another Fear of Flying class next month. The classroom at MSP is also used to help anxious flyers learn and feel better about the process on the ground. Some classes are geared for those with autism. Well, this week, top golfers are in Augusta, Georgia for the Masters.